crowd's going crazy. That's a win over Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger. 2 wins in 20 tries, Andre.
You know the sad thing? We may be able to do this, and I sound weird mowing here, maybe it's how I'm lined up in here. This is the top 3 win since the Browns came back in '99?
Yes.
Maybe, I mean, you can look at it. Probably the first win the team had in '99. Maybe a win in 2007, the Baltimore game. Then this one. The Baltimore game where Phil Dawson hits it off the post and everything else. Can you think of a better win and where it sets this team up? Obviously, the win they had against the Atlanta Falcons to put them in the playoffs. But otherwise, I can't think of a better day or better morning to wake up a day after a Browns game.
I think everyone will be talking about this all day long. I mean, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be one of those weeks where the Steeler win is going to propel you in to next week when you go play the Jaguars, who are 0-6.
That scares me.
0-6.
We can talk about that. The next 2 games scare me.
All these games scare me.
Oh,
I'll be honest about it.
I think they've proved yesterday that they're a good football team. They didn't play up or down to a team. They played their game yesterday. The Steelers didn't play really well.
I don't think the Steelers are a good football team at all.
The Steelers scored 10 points offensively back-to-back weeks. I think Todd Haley, if you were coaching anywhere else in the country, you'd probably lose your job. He won't be back because they have too much talent. They have Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and you can only score 10 points. Back-to-back.
All right, is that a sign of the Browns' defense, or is that a sign of Pittsburgh's ineffective offense?
I'm not going to put the Browns down for what happened yesterday. I think the Steelers are struggling. I think they're looking for an identity and don't have it. But the Browns helped that yesterday, and they did that by, I don't want to say dumbing down the defense, but they went a little bit more vanilla defensively. They kept everything in front of them. But if you look at some of the stats from the Steelers side, I want to say they ran 12 of the first 13 plays, something like 18 of the first 22 plays. They ran the football. And it looked good in the first quarter, but they didn't establish anything else, and the Browns took off from there.
No, that missed field goal was huge.
The missed field goal changed the game.
All right, so let's tell you how you play the game here on Dogs on the Run. You can call in at 216-431-3820, 216-431-2820, which you can see, 3820, which you can see right down here. Also, you can Skype in at Dogs on the Run, DAWGS on the Run, just one big word. You do there. We also invite you to take us with you in the car. All you have to do is get the Newsnet 5 app, and you can listen on your way to work. Don't watch the screen, but listen. And, of course, Tim Couch is going to join us here in just a few moments. He's our third amigo on the show. Chris Horn's going to take us back into the newsroom. We'll talk to Kenny Rhoda, who's also a regular member of this show. He'll join us live from the KennyRhoda.com studios. Also, we'll check in with the Susquehanna Browns backers, Matt Lodi from Steelers Gab. What else do we got on here? Did I get everything in? We ask Eric the referee. Eric the referee.
You did. It's going to be interesting. Howie Smith, the president of Susquehanna Browns backers near Pittsburgh, interesting to see what his reaction was with the win, and I can't wait to hear Matt Lodi's reaction. The Steelers are in trouble, and
they're not in trouble. How can you say they're? How are they in trouble? How many games out of first place are they, Eric?
They're about a game and a half. But I'd still say
how many games are left?
They have a lot of football left, but they're in trouble because Todd Haley is not the answer. Horrible play calling yesterday. I mean, the Browns played a good game, but the Steelers played awful.
I'll say this about the Steelers: they started last season 2-6. What did they end the season with? They went 6-2. Don't write them off just yet. Sure. Enjoy the win, but don't write them off yet.
The one thing I do want to say, though, and Steelers fans know this, after a win, they always wear their jerseys on Monday. You're not going to see it today. Not going to see it.
That's too bad. It doesn't bother me. All right, we're going to Tim Couch in 60 seconds, but before we do that, let's check in with George on Skype. George, what's up, man?
Good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Bringing those George's Donuts bring back a lot of memories. I ate too many of them when I lived in Garfield Heights.
They're really
You asked a question in your tie-in during the news break this morning. The Browns, to me, are a tepid, optimistic ball club, meaning that I have a lot of optimism, but I'm going to be cautious at the next few games that are on the schedule.
Nothing wrong with that. I think that's how we should go into as a fan. You should go into that every week. I think the one thing
definitely.
The one thing they showed yesterday though is that the whole roster is a part of this. This isn't just relying upon a quarterback or relying upon a receiver. This was a team win, especially when you look at the injuries that the team popped up and had. And I thought coaching-wise, this is a great job by the coaches.
All right, George, anything else?
Go to your stats and try to answer this. Who is the last Browns quarterback that threw under 50% and posted a win?
All right, well,
look it up.
Eric, the referee, you're on that, man.
There you
That's
go.
And Eric, a happy belated birthday to you. I forgot to mention that last week.
Thank
I
you,
should
George.
get a
We'll
yellow
talk to you
flag
later.
for
Thanks,
that.
George. We're going to go to Tim Couch.
No
Can I ask you a
problem.
question?
George, have a great day, man.
You too.
Take care, George. Why the only stat that matters for a quarterback is what?
Wins.
Thank you.
Speaking of quarterbacks and wins, there's our guy, Tim Couch. Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm great. How you guys doing this morning?
We're doing
Good.
great. You know, it's a win over the Steelers, and you can appreciate how much that means, I think, to the city and to the fans and to Brian Hoyer in particular.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anytime you get a win over your biggest rival, especially the way they were able to go out and just put it on the way they did from start to finish. And, you know, it was obviously different than the way most of the games have went this season. And, you know, you almost turn the game on every Sunday and you're like, how far are they going to get themselves behind before they try to start digging out of this hole? But, you know, in this game, you know, after the first two drives offensively, which were terrible, they got things rolling and they got it going. And the defense was outstanding from start to finish.
You know, Tim, you always hear an offensive coordinator talk about playing a game of chess with the defensive coordinator. I thought the way that they used Jordan Cameron, they didn't get a ton of passes to him, but the passes they had set up for him had a purpose. They were set up with misdirection. I thought Shanahan had his best game yesterday.
Oh, I did too. I agree with you 100% on that. He manufactured some offense. He got guys open just by formations and just his scheme in general. And you know, anytime you can run the football the way the Browns are doing it, and you know, the safeties for the Steelers were, you know, up near the line of scrimmage. They were 8 to 10 yards from the ball, and you know, you take advantage of that when you have a tight end like Cameron and get him behind the safety. He had the 51-yard touchdown catch, and Brian threw a great ball to him on the post. And then you know, I really loved the throwback play they had to him down the sideline, which probably should have been a touchdown too, but you know, Brian just you know, decided to put the ball on him and not miss him with an overthrow because he was so wide open. But you know, that was just great play design. You know, you take advantage of a Steelers secondary that you know, loves to get their safeties involved in the run game and kind of use that against them. And you know, he did a great job of dialing it up and dialing those plays up at the right time.
Tim, a lot of guys talked yesterday about misdirection. They knew that was going to be their game plan going in up against Pittsburgh's defense. Naked boot twice to the tight ends, I thought was very effective. You know, I know we all wish that Jordan Cameron, or he could have got a little zip on the ball, it would have been in the end zone, but who cares? They scored on the next play. Like, I couldn't believe I even heard people complaining about that. It's ridiculous. But the whole game plan they had, and I know just to touch a little bit more on Kyle, but they knew exactly what they wanted to do yesterday, and Brian executed that, I think, perfectly.
Really did, you know, and they didn't have to get a lot from Brian and the wide receivers yesterday. It was more of a, you know, we're going to rely on the run game. Ben Tate had 25 carries. Isaiah Crowell, I thought, was outstanding in the football game, other than the fumble, obviously. But, you know, this football team is doing such a great job offensively of not turning the football over. And when you do, I mean, only 2 turnovers on the entire season. So you're always going to be in football games as they have been the entire season. So now that the defense hopefully has turned the corner and they're going to play the way they're capable of playing, the way we all thought they would be playing, you know, if they can do that the way they played yesterday, then this football team is going to be in every game. They're going to have an opportunity to win a lot of football games, and you know, just you know, I'm so impressed with that defense. You know, just the way, you know, with the injuries they had on the defensive line, they lost a couple guys during the game as well, and you know, they were great yesterday. They got to Ben a couple times. They had an interception against him. And, you know, to go against those wide receivers they had there at Pittsburgh and to do the job that they did, those guys deserve a lot of credit.
Tim, they weren't over-aggressive defensively. We didn't see all the blitzes and all the exotic stuff they usually do. But in just kind of, you know, playing up to their man, it was almost a better defensive plan yesterday than doing all the exotic stuff.
It really was. You said it perfectly. They didn't do a whole lot. They weren't trying to confuse Ben. They weren't trying to do any of that. They were in man coverage almost every play on the outside. They walked those defensive backs up in the faces of the wide receivers, and they disrupted the timing a little bit. You know, the defensive line got some good push, and they were getting a little pressure on Ben. But, you know, it was really a simple game plan. Let's just go out and execute. Let's get in the right spots. I thought Carlos Dansby played a great football game yesterday. He was all over the field. So it was a great performance. It was fun to watch, and you know, if this team can, you know, they finally put together a full game where, you know, they come out from the opening kickoff and they're playing the way they're capable of playing. It was fun to watch yesterday.
Absolutely. All right, let me ask you this from the other side. You may disagree. If you're Ben Roethlisberger and you got the talent you have offensively, how frustrated are you with the play calling yesterday?
Well, he's got to be frustrated. You know, it's been a rocky relationship between he and his offensive coordinator there for a few years, and you know, so I know he's frustrated. You know, just to have those type of playmakers around and only go out and really they put up 3 points. They got a touchdown late, but you know, the defense just absolutely dominated. that offense. And the way they played against the Browns in the opener in the first half, it looked like you had to expect they would come out and with that same type of game plan and be aggressive and getting the ball down the field to Antonio Brown and those guys. But it just didn't happen. Hayden and Screen played a really good, solid football on the outside. But I know Ben is frustrated. He has to be because he's used to playing at a very, very high level, and over the last couple of weeks his offense has been pretty poor.
Tim, we're all looking at the schedule. We all know the next 3 games are pretty. I'm gonna say it. They're pretty winnable.
Oh yeah.
If you're in that locker room,
1-16.
You're 1-16. If you're in that locker room and you see Jacksonville, Tampa, Oakland. How do you keep these guys focused on next Sunday and not looking ahead? Because if they can win these 3 games, you could have a huge nationally televised game on Thursday night versus the Bengals coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. The guys are, they're all going to say the right things in the media that, hey, we're taking it one game at a time. We're not worried about who else is on the schedule. But, realistically, the guys in the locker room understand that they have 3 very, very winnable games coming up, 3 games that they absolutely should win. No excuse not to win them the way they're playing right now. So, it's just you got to go out and take care of business. Obviously, you do have to kind of take it one game at a time because these teams are capable of beating you. But it's a great opportunity in front of them. And as you said, if they can win these 3, that they're going to be set up in tremendous shape going forward. It can build a lot of confidence. If you can run off a 3-game win streak, it would do wonders for this team's confidence. And they're hopefully should be healthier after this 3-game stretch. Get ready for the final stretch run going towards the end of the season.
Tim, last question for you. You've got a center that had over 5,000 straight snaps, and Alex Mack is one of these guys that clearly the team loves, and we saw what happened when they carted him off yesterday. Joe Thomas, after the game, said he was almost in tears many times during the game, just thinking about the fact that Alex is probably gone for the rest of the season. I want to flash forward this conversation, though. John Greco now moves into that center spot. Talk about that relationship between the center and the quarterback and how quick they've got to come together on this thing.
Yeah, that's a huge point. It really is. Losing a guy like Mack, obviously, you just can't replace him. His leadership and his skill set is just unbelievable. But a quarterback-center relationship is something special because you rely on that center to tell you a lot of things. A lot of times, if you got a veteran guy like that, you got to check with me at the line of scrimmage, and you'll come up to the line and he'll turn around and tell you, hey, we can't run the football into this. Look, you need to get out of it. And as a quarterback, sometimes you don't see everything, but to have a guy like that you trust, that understands fronts and understands where the blitz is coming from and help you in changing protections, and just a guy that you have so much, you built so much trust over time with, and a guy like Mack who's been in there, like you said, so many consecutive games and never miss a snap. It's very, very difficult to replace him. So it's going to be, a challenge for Brian to get on the same page with the new center and, hopefully, build some chemistry with him. It's not going to be to the point where it was with Mack, but you try to get on the same page, obviously.
Tim, did you get a chance to watch that at all? I know it's kind of a little obscure, but to watch that relationship between Greco and Hoyer and just kind of digest it a little bit?
Yeah, you got a chance to watch the game, and you as soon as a new center comes in, obviously you want to. It's a challenge to to get on the same page during a game. You'd like to have some practice with them, obviously, but Brian's probably never worked with him really before, because you can count on Matt to be in there for every game, so you really don't get a lot of reps with the second team center. But this week of practice will be big for those guys. I'm sure Brian will get in the meeting room and try to go over some things with him, and watch the blitz reels and those type of things where you're going to be changing protections and changing blocking schemes and things like that. So they'll get on the same page. I don't think it'll take too long for them to do, but obviously that it's a huge loss for them up front.
All right, Tim, we'll talk to you in about a half hour. Always appreciate your perspective, and we'll get back with you in a little bit.
Okay, great.
Sounds good, guys. Tim Couch, who's our resident analyst here on Dogs on the Run, does a great job hanging out in his office, talking to us on Monday morning.
Yes.
Every morning right here on Dogs on the Run. 216-431-3820 is the number to call in, or on Skype, Dogs on the Run. Are the Browns legit? I think that's a question Browns fans are asking themselves, and I think a win over Pittsburgh does make you think that this team is, without a doubt, legit.
Well, like I said, for the first time, they didn't play up to the competition. You go back-to-back weeks. It was hard to be excited last Monday. Yeah, they won, but it wasn't a good win. We could look at all the things.
It's historic. I didn't have any problem.
Oh, my gosh. It was historic, but you'll remember Wisenhunt being an awful coach.
Right.
You'll remember Wisenhunt being an awful quarterback in the second half.
Okay.
It was historic.
I mean, Whitehurst. Right?
Whitehurst. Yeah. I'm sorry, Charlie Whitehurst. What did I say? I can't remember.
Wisenhunt. It doesn't matter.
Wisenhunt was terrible. This one, you can't take any. The Browns did their job. You know, it was nothing that they weren't helped any way. The Browns did their job. They came out with a game plan. They worked with it, and they totally shut down the Steelers. Now, I think Todd Haley's an awful offensive coordinator, but that's nor here nor there.
Made a difference in the game yesterday. All right, let's go back to